I'm Kay Miculek, the head instructor for the Babes with Bullets Ladies Action Shooting Camps. I'm here today to talk to you about trigger control. I've got a Smith & Wesson M&P pistol here. It's empty. All right, the most important aspect of handgun shooting, or really any shooting sport, especially pistol, is the trigger control. Ideally, if you have a firearm that fits your hand, your finger will very naturally fall onto the face of the trigger in front of the first joint, and this will allow your finger to be flat on the face of the trigger. If your finger is flat on the face of the trigger, you can then pull the trigger straight back to the rear. If you're pulling the trigger straight back to the rear, what that means is that you're upsetting the sight picture as little as possible. If the gun is, say, too big for your hand, and you can't quite reach the trigger, and your finger is not flat on the face of the trigger, then when you pull it, you'll have a tendency to push as well as pull. If the gun is too big for your hand or too small for your hand and your finger is too far through the trigger guard, again, when you pull, you're going to upset that sight picture in some way. So again, very important to get your finger flat on the face of the trigger in front of your first joint and pull the trigger straight back to the rear. Now I do want to point out, on a lot of the quick action guns like the Smith & Wesson M&P, the Glock pistols, the Springfield XD pistols, you will find that there is a good bit of take-up in the trigger. And that take-up, or pre-travel, is just that movement in the trigger that happens before you really get to the point where the trigger is going to be pulled or the internal mechanism is going to release. So you can see in my M&P I do have a little take-up here. So I want to get all of the take-up pre-travel out of that trigger press first, and then from that point forward I can do a smooth, steady press on the trigger until the gun fires. And it's very important. Some handguns have a very long take-up, so your tendency is to really, we call it running at the trigger. Instead of prepping the trigger, preparing the trigger, you just kind of smash it. You know, kind of push at it very hard. And that is definitely going to upset the sight picture, definitely going to cause you to have poor accuracy. So always remember, tip of the finger on the trigger, get that take-up out of the trigger, then a smooth, steady press until the gun fires. Now that you know the basics of the trigger pull, go out to the range and give it a try. Go to the NSSF website, wheretoshoot.org, find a place to shoot. And remember, firearm safety is your responsibility.